SAS Interview question and answer question number 53. How do you combine 20 years monthly data to the history table? This question is asking about how can you combine multiple years of data which is recorded as monthly data to the history table with efficient way. There are multiple ways to combine monthly data to history table, but one of the efficient way is using SAS macro code. In this process, we use macro code with proc append procedure so that every month data will append with one after other. Sample code is given here. First of all, we have to define the library name where the monthly data is located. Suppose lib name is ABC and monthly data is located inside this monthly underscore history folder. Next step, we are going to create SAS macro. It starts with percent macro, student underscore loop. This is the macro name. Then inside the parentheses, we are creating three macro variables: start, end, and base. The value of those three variables will provide at the end of the macro while calling macro. Next step, we use proc delete. Proc delete data equal ampersand base dot. That means we are going to append monthly data with base table where name of this base table is provided at the end of this calling macro. If there is already data in this base table, it will create the problem. That's why we are going to delete initial data from the base table. That's why we use proc delete data ampersand base dot and run. Next step, we use here do loop. That means it starts with percent do and percent until the start date is greater than end date. This is the valid condition. Until that valid condition, do loop will continue. After then, we use percent put creating data for which date it will display in our log window. Every date, every monthly date, when it creates data, then it will display the information in our log window. Next step, we use proc SQL create table, student underscore list table, and this table is created from monthly data. This is the ABC is the live name, student underscore list underscore ampersand start. This is the format of monthly data table name. And we create monthly data from this library. Next step, proc append base. We provide the base table name and data. The data comes from student list which we have created above. And force option is used and run. That means we have created monthly data. That monthly data is append with the base table and it will continue until this start date is greater than end date. It will valid when January to December. That means every month it will increase by 1. But in case of December to January, that means that while jumping from December to January, difference between, for example is a difference between December 2009 to January 2010 or December 2010 to January 2011 and so on. Difference is 89. So following trick is applicable in such a scenario. In this case we use %if, That means the if condition is used. Percent if, percent substring function is used, substring, substar. And we use here ampersand start date, comma, 5, comma, 2 equals to 12. Then use this condition. What does that mean? For example is here, substring function. Inside this parenthesis, we use 2010-08, comma 5, comma 2. For example, it says here, it starts with fifth position. That means it starts from here, 0, and it will take only 2 characters. That means it will take only 08, or it extracts only 2 characters, that is 08, for example. And similarly here, if this value extraction value is 12, then percent let start, ampersand eval function is used. In case of SAS macro, without eval function, it cannot aid mathematical, it cannot work mathematical function here. So to calculate or to use the mathematical function, we use percent eval function, ampersand start date plus 89. That means it will add and it will gives the final result. But without percent eval, it will display the value of start date and plus and 89. It will not add with each other. Next, percent else. If this condition doesn't match, then just add with 1. That means January to February, February to March until December, month increases by only 1. That's why we add plus 1. Finally, we end the do loop percent end, and we close macro percent m end, and finally we call macro percent strand underscore loop, and we provide the value here. In this example, for simplicity, I have taken class dataset. I have copied class dataset 13 times with a different month name from 2009-06 to 2010-06. This is not a real practical example. This is only for the application of this macro. How to use this macro. In case of a real practical application or example, it can be credit card monthly data, it can be monthly application data, it can be auto loan monthly data, it can be customer data, it can be monthly sales data. But whatever I am using here, this is not exact practical example data here. Only for simplicity, how to use this macro. I'm using that class data 13 times and I'm trying to add that class data. That means 13 month of data I'm going to combine. When we run this set of the code, then we will get the result as shown on the right side. Partial data is shown on the right side first table. It says total rows 247. That means each month it has only 19 record. 19 times 13, it is showing here 247 record. It looks simple. But if we have 20 years of monthly data, then total number of month will be 240 month. Then it will be the huge number. In such a scenario, this macro is applicable. Similarly, in case of log window, it shows information like this. The data set combined output has 247 observation and 5 variables. If we run same set of the code with a SAS window, then we will get exactly same result. This is the SAS window, and first step is creating library, lib name ABC. This is the location where monthly data is located. Next step, macro creation, macro name student underscore loop, 3 macro variable. Next step, deleting base data. Next step, using do loop and creating student list data for monthly data. Next step, appending monthly data with base table. Next step, we are using logic here. That means while jumping from December to January, we have to use following logic plus 89. And finally, we end do loop and finally close the macro and calling macro. This is the complete code. When we run this set of the code, then we will get exactly same result. Let me check that combined output. Total rows 247. That means each month it has only 19 records, and I am going to combine only 13 month of record. That's why 13 times 19, 247. Let me check log. In case of the log, it says here at final point, the data set combined output has 247 observations. For the each month, it will show each month data after completion. First of all, 2009-06. When it reads, that means it says here, it has read 19 rows and 5 columns. And after then, when it completes with the second, 2009-07, it combines data here. Combined data has 38 observations. In this way, by using SAS macro, we can combine multiple years of monthly data to the history table. This is the example. That's all about question number 53. Thank you.